Baseball is much more than a sport in the United States. For millions of Americans, he is part of history, culture, and traditions that span generations. Known as a national pastime, baseball has delighted fans for more than 150 years with thrilling plays, historic rivalries, and unforgettable moments. It all starts on a field divided between attack and defense. The goal seems simple: hit the ball thrown by the pitcher and run through the bases to score. But behind this simplicity lies a huge strategy. Every pitch, every hit, and every decision can completely change the course of the match. Matches are played by teams of 9 players and divided into 9 innings, called innings. During the game, pitchers try to fool hitters with fastballs, curveballs, and unpredictable pitches that can exceed 160 kilometers per hour. One of the most exciting plays in sports is a famous home run. When the batter manages to throw the ball out of the field of play, the crowd explodes in celebration. Some of the greatest athletes in history have become known precisely for their ability to hit impressive home runs. The most important championship in the country is organized by Major League Baseball, known worldwide by the acronym MLB. The league brings together some of the most famous teams on the planet, such as the New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Chicago Cubs. Over the decades, baseball has produced legends that have become symbols of the sport. Names like Babe Ruth, Jackie Robinson, and Hank Aaron have left everlasting marks on and off the field. But what really makes baseball special is its ability to bring families and communities together. On sunny afternoons or nights illuminated by stadium floodlights, thousands of fans come together to accompany each throw, creating a unique atmosphere that few sports can match. Today, baseball continues to evolve, attracting new generations of fans and keeping alive a tradition that is part of the American identity. Between powerful hits, thrilling runs, and historic matches, the sport continues to show why it is considered one of the greatest symbols of the United States. If you like this trip through the world of American baseball, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments. Baseball is not just a sport in the United States. For many Americans, he represents history, tradition, family, and national identity. But why has this sport earned such a special place in the hearts of millions of people? The story begins in the 19th century, when baseball began to spread rapidly through American cities and small communities. In an era without television, internet, or video games, gaming has become one of the country's main forms of entertainment. Over the decades, the sport has grown along with the United States. During wars, economic crises, and periods of prosperity, baseball continued to be present in people's lives, becoming a symbol of national unity. Another important factor is family tradition. Many Americans learn the rules of baseball even in childhood. Parents take their children to the stadiums. Grandparents tell stories about legendary players, and whole generations cheer for the same teams. For many families, accompanying a match is a tradition passed down from generation to generation. Stadiums are also part of this passion. Unlike many Moderna sports, baseball offers a more tranquil experience where fans can chat, eat, enjoy the atmosphere, and follow every detail of the game. This creates a strong connection between fans and their teams. Great rivalries help keep the emotion alive. Historic matchups between teams like the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox have attracted millions of viewers and have been part of American sports culture for more than a century. The sport has also produced national heroes. Legendary players like Babe Ruth, Jackie Robinson, and Derek Jeter have become icons admired by generations of fans. But perhaps the main reason is that baseball represents a sense of nostalgia. For many Americans, watching a game recalls childhood moments, family reunions, and memories that span decades. Sport has become part of the country's own culture. For this reason, even with the growth of sports such as American football, basketball, and soccer, baseball continues to occupy a special place in the United States. He's more than a competition. It is a tradition that connects past, present, and future. If you walked into an American stadium in the 1950s, you'd find a very different environment than what we see today. The scoreboard was simple. There were no giant screens, television broadcasts were still growing, and fans followed each throw with impressive passion. Many consider the 50s to be one of the most striking eras in baseball history. At that time, baseball was the most popular sport in the United States. Before the explosion of television and the growth of American football, millions of people followed games on the radio or packed stadiums to see their idols in action. The players were also viewed differently. Many were paid modest salaries compared to current athletes, and some even worked other jobs during the winter to supplement the income. Even so, they were treated as true heroes by local communities. The 1950s were marked by big stars. Names like Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Willie Mays, and Ted Williams delighted crowds with their extraordinary abilities. One of the teams that dominated that era was the New York Yankees. The team won several titles during the decade and became synonymous with success in the sport. Its players were known throughout the country and helped turn baseball into a national phenomenon. Uniforms were simpler, equipment less advanced, and fields had unique characteristics. Many stadiums had irregular formats, which created different challenges for each team and made each match even more interesting. The 50s also represented an important social transformation. A few years earlier, Jackie Robinson had broken the racial barrier in American professional sports. His presence paved the way for many other black athletes who went on to demonstrate their enormous talent in the big leagues. The experience of the fans was very different from the current one. Whole families went to stadiums wearing their best clothes. Children dreamed of getting autographs from the players, and many fans kept collectible cards as real treasures. Games used to be more focused on strategy, speed, and contact with the ball than just home runs. Steals, short hits, and smart plays were key to winning games. For many historians and fans, the 1950s represent a golden era of baseball. It was a period when tradition, talent, and passion came together to create some of the most unforgettable moments in sports history. Would you like to watch a baseball game in the 1950s? The 1960s were a period of great change in the United States, and baseball accompanied this transformation. While the country experienced technological advances, social movements, and cultural changes, millions of Americans continue to fill the stadiums to watch the sport that was considered one of the greatest national passions. In the 60s, baseball still occupied a special place in the lives of Americans. Entire families listened to games on the radio or watched them on black and white television. For many children, spending an afternoon following their favorite team was one of the biggest programs of the week. One of the most striking features of this decade was the dominance of pitchers. Many experts call this period the era of pitchers. Hitters had enormous difficulty scoring points, and low-scoring matches were very common. Among the great stars of the time was Sandy Koufax, considered one of the best pitchers in history. His releases impressed players and fans, making him a true legend of the sport. Another unforgettable name was Willie Mays, known for his speed, defensive skill, and spectacular hitting. Many fans still consider him one of the most complete players to ever step on a baseball field. The decade was also marked by the expansion of teams. New teams emerged and the sport began to reach more American cities, further increasing its popularity. Uniforms remained simple when compared to current uniforms, but some teams began adopting more modern designs. Stadiums have also undergone changes, with the construction of larger arenas to accommodate the growing number of fans. In 1968, one of the most famous seasons in history took place, known as the Year of the Pitcher. Pitchers dominated the game so much that the league decided to change some rules the following year to again balance the contest between pitchers and hitters. The 60s were also important for the racial integration of the sport. Players from different backgrounds came to occupy prominent positions, helping to turn baseball into a reflection of the changes taking place in American society. While rock and roll conquered young people and the space race fascinated the world, baseball remained a link between generations. Parents took their children to the stadiums. Grandparents shared stories of great matches, and new legends emerged every season. For many fans, the 1960s represent a time when talent, strategy, and tradition met to create one of the most memorable decades in baseball history. The 1970s were a decade of change, personality, and great rivalries in American baseball. The sport remained one of the greatest passions of the United States, but now it was entering a new era marked by charismatic players, colorful uniforms, and matches that will forever remain in the memory of fans. Unlike the 1960s, when pitchers dominated much of the games, the 70s brought more balance between offense and defense. The hitters came back to prominence, and the fans saw more runs, more home runs, and even more exciting games. One of the biggest novelties of the decade was the introduction of the designated hitter by Major League Baseball in 1973, initially in the American League. This change allowed a player who specialized only in hitting to take the place of the pitcher in the attacking order, increasing the offensive spectacle. The 70s were also marked by big stars. Players such as Reggie Jackson, known as Mr. October, became famous for their decisive performances in the playoffs. Another icon of the era was Nolan Ryan, whose lightning-fast pitches terrified opposing hitters. The decade became known for its bold uniforms. Many teams abandoned the traditional look and adopted vibrant colors, flashy stripes, and models that reflected the style of the time. Some uniforms of the 70s are still considered the most different in the history of the sport. The stadiums changed, too. Large multi-purpose arenas sprang up in several American cities, hosting both baseball matches and events from other sports. This gave the sport a more modern look and helped attract ever larger crowds. Among the most outstanding teams were the Cincinnati Reds, known as the Big Red Machine. With an extremely talented roster, the team dominated much of the decade and won several titles, becoming one of the most legendary teams in baseball history. Another historic moment came in 1974 when Hank Aaron surpassed Babe Ruth's home run record, a feat that thrilled fans across the country and forever marked the history of the sport. During the 70s, television began to play an even more important role. More and more people could follow the matches without leaving home, helping to turn players into national celebrities. For many Americans, the 70s represent one of baseball's most entertaining decades. It was a time of great personalities, important changes in the rules, and historical moments that continue to be remembered to this day. the greatest baseball teams of all time. Over the course of more than a century of history, American baseball has produced legendary teams that have dominated their eras, broken records, and won over millions of fans. These teams weren't just champions. They helped define the history of the sport. 1. New York Yankees, 1927. Known as the Murderers' Row, the 1927 Yankees are often considered the greatest baseball team of all time. Led by Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, they dominated the season and won the World Series with enormous superiority. 2. Cincinnati Reds, 1975 to 1976. The famous Big Red Machine was a winning machine. With players such as Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, and Pete Rose, it won back-to-back titles and is remembered as one of the most complete teams ever seen. 3. New York Yankees, 1998. Many experts consider this the best team of the Moderna. Led by Derek Jeter, they won 125 games between the regular season and playoffs, earning one of the most impressive campaigns in history. 4. Oakland Athletics. The Athletics have won 3 consecutive World Series, something extremely rare. With stars like Reggie Jackson, they became a real dynasty of the 70s. 5. Brooklyn Dodgers. After years of frustrations against the Yankees, the Dodgers finally won their first World Series title in 1955. The team featured legends such as Jackie Robinson and Duke Snider. 6. San Francisco Giants. The Giants have won 3 World Series in just 5 years. His combination of outstanding pitching and decisive playoff performances marked one of the greatest dynasties of the 21st century. 7. Los Angeles Dodgers. With one of the most talented rosters in the Moderna era, the Dodgers ended a decades-long fast by winning the 2020 World Series, demonstrating tremendous depth and quality at every position. 8. Boston Red Sox. This team went down in history by breaking the so-called curse of the Bambino. After 86 years without titles, the Red Sox won the World Series and staged one of the greatest upturns ever seen in the playoffs. 9. St. Louis Cardinals. An extremely balanced team known for its impeccable defense and consistency throughout the season. It is considered one of the greatest formations in Cardinals history. 10. Chicago Cubs. The Cubs ended a historic 108-year streak without winning the World Series. The victory was considered one of the most exciting moments in the history of American sports. Honorable mentions: Baltimore Orioles, Detroit Tigers, Atlanta Braves, Houston Astros, Kansas City Royals. These teams represent different eras of baseball, but they all have something in common. They dominated their opponents, won titles, and left a legacy that continues to be admired by fans around the world. the greatest baseball players of all time. Choosing the greatest players in baseball history is a difficult task, but some names appear on virtually every list of the experts. They dominated their eras, broke records, and helped transform the sport. 1. Babe Ruth, known as the Sultan of Batting. Babe Ruth revolutionized baseball. His home runs changed the way the game was played and made him one of the most famous figures in sports history. 2. Willie Mays. Many experts consider Willie Mays the most complete player of all time. He combined speed, defense, strength, and play intelligence at an extraordinary level. 3. Hank Aaron. For decades, Aaron was the all-time home run record holder. His impressive consistency has made him one of the sport's greatest legends. 4. Ted Williams. Considered by many to be the best pure hitter in history. In 1941, he became the last player to end a season with a batting average above .400. 5. Lou Gehrig, a symbol of endurance and excellence. Gehrig was one of the Yankees' greatest stars and one of the most respected players of all time. 6. Ty Cobb, known for his extreme competitiveness. Cobb held batting records that spanned many decades. 7. Jackie Robinson. In addition to his talent on the field, Robinson changed the history of the sport by breaking the racial barrier of the major leagues in 1947. 8. Mickey Mantle, one of the biggest stars of the 1950s and 1960s. He combined power, speed, and charisma like few other players. 9. Joe DiMaggio, famous for his record streak of 56 consecutive games with valid hits, a record that stands to this day. 10. Barry Bonds, record holder for home runs in MLB history. His legacy is debated due to controversies involving performance-enhancing substances, but his talent is undeniable. The greatest pitchers in history. Cy Young, the annual award for MLB's best pitcher, is named after him. His record of 511 wins will probably never be broken. Walter Johnson, one of Montenjo's greatest legends. He dominated hitters for decades. Sandy Koufax. It had one of the most dominant periods in the history of the sport during the 1960s. Nolan Ryan, known for his lightning-fast pitches. He amassed an impressive strikeout record. The greatest of all? If the question is, who is the greatest player in history, the most frequently cited names are Babe Ruth for the revolution he caused in sports. Second place medal Willie Mays for the complete combination of skills. Hank Aaron for consistency and longevity. For many baseball historians, Willie Mays is the most complete player in history, while Babe Ruth remains the most influential figure the sport has ever produced. How does baseball influence Americans? Baseball is much more than a sport in the United States. For more than a century, he helped shape American culture, customs, and even national identity. For millions of people, baseball represents tradition, community, and a strong sense of belonging. Since childhood, many American children have contact with sports. In cities large and small, youth leagues teach not only the rules of the game, but also values such as discipline, teamwork, respect, and perseverance. Sport also strengthens family ties. It is common for parents, children, and grandparents to root for the same team for generations. Many families have stories linked to memorable games, stadium visits, and shared moments in front of the television. Baseball even influences the everyday language of Americans. Expressions like home run, strikeout, and step up to plate are often used off the field to talk about success, failure, or facing challenges in life. In addition, sport played an important role in historical moments. When Jackie Robinson entered the major leagues in 1947, he helped accelerate social change by breaking racial segregation in American professional sports. His impact went far beyond the playing field. During difficult periods such as wars, economic crises, and times of national tension, baseball served as a form of entertainment and togetherness. Stadiums became places where people from different backgrounds could share a common passion. Teams also have a strong influence on their cities. Teams like the New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, Chicago Cubs, and Los Angeles Dodgers are part of the identity of their communities. The victories and defeats of these clubs are felt by millions of fans. Sport also drives the American economy. Stadiums, TV broadcasts, licensed products, sports tourism, and Major League Baseball-related events generate billions of dollars and thousands of jobs every year. But perhaps baseball's greatest influence lies in the collective memory of Americans. He is present in films, books, songs, and family stories. For many people, a baseball game reminds them of childhood, friends, parents, and grandparents. That is why, even with the growth of American football, basketball, and other sports, baseball continues to occupy a special place in American society. It's not just a game. It is a tradition that connects generations and helps tell the story of the country. Baseball influences Americans because it represents so much more than wins and losses. It symbolizes family, tradition, community, and part of America's own identity.